good afternoon. Hope everybody had a terrific weekend, and I hope if you are connected that you went ahead and had a dynamite Valentine's Day yesterday. I know the wife and I went out. We had a nice little dinner last night. Didn't pay too much, which was very cool. So we had a great time, and I hope you guys did too. Just want to reflect on the quizzes for sound recordings. I tell you what, some really good stuff. Especially I like reading the last two answers. I mean, they're just gimme answers. I know, you're going to get it right, as long as you put anything. But it was real interesting to read some of the things that you put. I know some people don't really buy albums anymore. You can. They are available through digital sales. Not the same as actually in the old days when you would actually go to the store and buy a CD or, of course, in my case, a cassette, an 8-track, an album, a vinyl album. Which, by the way, I did want to pass that on to you. The single greatest selling album in American history is the Eagles' Greatest Hits 1971 through 1975, which now has sold over 38 million albums in America. Now, the big reason why that number is so high is because of people like me, people my age, a little older, okay? When it first came out, we bought the vinyl album, and then we bought the 8-track for our cars, and then we got the cassette, which was much smaller and easier, more convenient, and then for the sound, we got the CD. And there are actually some people who have gone to that fifth and have actually bought the album digitally and downloaded it. So that's a big reason why that album is, and you'll probably never see numbers like that again. What I told you about last time, about that 18 straight months, where they had sold 1 million albums per month for 18 straight months between 71, 75 and their next album, Hotel California, which was huge. It was just a, album-oriented rock. That was the 70s. I mean, it was just amazing. A guy like, nobody had ever heard of a guy named Meatloaf. Meatloaf comes out of nowhere, only has an album with, I think, 7 or 8 songs on it. Some albums have 7 songs on each side. He only had 7 or 8 songs on the entire album, both sides. Nobody ever heard of him. Sings a song about trying to get with a girl in a car that becomes this instant cult classic, and he sold like 18 million copies. It was amazing. The way albums were flying off the shelves in the 70s was just amazing. And I have to tell you, the place to be was the record store. Some of you may know Route 17 in Paramus. I think it's Paramus, just maybe Ridgewood North. There's a Goodwill. There's that large Goodwill store up there. That used to be Tower Records. And on Route 17 in Paramus, that Tower Records after school, 3:34, 4:30 in the afternoon, was the place to be. You'd walk in and the speakers would be blasting whatever the latest music was. My wife just started. Yeah, you sit behind me. She's trying to hide, but she can't. So, that was the place to be, Tower Records. As a matter of fact, Garden State Plaza had not one, but 2 Sam Goody stores. There was one on the second floor over by where what's that thing? The carousel used to be. And then there was one downstairs. Record stores were crazy places. People loved going there. You loved going in and, nowadays, I think the only place now you actually can buy, and I looked the other day when I was in Walmart, and they really have a small area. Now, they have those bins where you can buy DVDs for like $3 or $2. But when it comes to like music CDs, there isn't a huge selection anymore. I'm interested to see how long that, it's almost like with newspapers. How long are these bodegas going to still have, and delis have those carts out with the newspapers and that big rock on them so the wind doesn't take the newspapers away? How long before those disappear? How long before you go into a Walmart or a Target or even bookstores like a Barnes & Noble, probably one of some of the last places where they actually still sell CDs? How long before that finally comes to an end? It's going to be interesting to see. So, let's talk about a couple of news items before we get to our chapter today. Number one, this came out a couple weeks ago. I want to go ahead and show this to you. Hopefully we won't get a glare. Hopefully you guys can see that. This is, sorry. If I'm going to teach you guys about this, and I got to see it too. There we go. Okay. These are the latest New York radio ratings. Okay. And as you can see, New York is the #1 radio market in America. Okay. And then as you can see, the last rated time period is what we call holiday 2020. So it says December 2020, and then it says holiday. And as you can see, Light FM always just dominates. They start putting Christmas music on, I think, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. And it's very popular, especially, women in, and not just women, but, people who are secretaries in offices, whether it's a lawyer's office, accountant's office, doctor's office, all over the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, where the New York City market is. They put Light FM on their office, stereo or office sound system, and they'll just leave it on all day. And it's safe, and plus when that Christmas music comes on, they just blast it even more. I know a lot of them will play it in their computer. As a matter of fact, we have quite a few secretaries on campus at Bergen who, as soon as they walk in, they turn their computers on. Light FM is coming through the computer in their speakers. So I want to make this just a little bit bigger. It's kind of small. But as you can see, Light FM is #1 in New York. And then we got Mega. We have BLS, CBS FM. And who's that number 5? NYC, Public Radio. Oh, that's not bad. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, and then Q1043 and WINS News Radio 1010. Okay, and you can see over here. Oh, there we go. That's their latest rating. You can see that big 12.8. That's a big part of the New York City market that Light FM had with their holiday music, which they always do. But there's another discussion point. Remember, I had said this at the beginning of the semester. Sometimes we could spend almost half a class period not even getting into the chapter, but having a discussion about a recent newsworthy item. And I have something very interesting that I wanted to bring to your attention. And there's a couple of articles, but here when you pull this up, this is very interesting. As you can see, the Super Bowl ratings, television ratings, were down. And it's the first time since 2007, and that's February 2007, that the Super Bowl did not attract 100 million viewers. Now, the thing is that this 96 million that they have includes all the streaming. See, only 90 million watched actually on television, watching CBS. The other 6 million is from streaming services. So a total of 96.4 million, not good. Not good at all. And again, like I said, it's the first time since the Bears lost to the Colts that a Super Bowl did not have 100 million viewers. Now, here's the most interesting article I saw a couple of weeks ago. Last week, excuse me. And they just updated on February 13th. This is from CNBC. As you can see, the Super Bowl is losing viewers under the age of 50. Now, this was really interesting because this isn't a trend that just started with COVID. When they break this down, I don't know if this... Yeah, here's this article here. I'm going to try to make this just a little bit bigger. Okay? But if you looked at some of the most watched Super Bowls, as you can see, as the years have gone on, viewership 18 to 49 is going down. Now, 18 to 49, of course, that is the target audience that the advertisers want to get. They want those 18 to 49-year-olds. And for viewership to be going down in that category is not good for the NFL. It's not good for the advertisers. Because again, if I paid, say, $4.5 million for a 30-second commercial for the Giant Patriots' second Super Bowl, all right, and you gave me 105 million viewers, why am I paying $5.5 million now and you're only getting me 90 million viewers? That's not a good thing, okay, for the networks, for the NFL, and for the NFL, because obviously what they're doing, things that are happening, and this also could be some of the social justice stuff. It could be and I've seen it on my Facebook, I've seen it on my Twitter, it has chased some people away. And, something's going to have to change soon because I don't think the NFL can sustain this. Especially the younger people. Because if that crowd over 50, as they would naturally do in the next 20 years, starts to die off, and let's say someone who's 25 is now 45, still within that very much target, but they stop watching. And of course, if they stop watching, their children don't watch. And then, of course, if they have grandchildren who are now being born, they're not going to watch. It's a very bad trend to be starting. So it's going to be very interesting in the future to see what the NFL does. Personally, I think it's still going to continue to go down only because there are going to be so many other alternatives. When I look at all the alternatives now, if, for example, if somebody is a little upset with some of the things that baseball or football is doing, and I want to go watch something else, I have so many choices now. Remember, I grew up in the days when you had 6 channels and PBS. So in New York City, we had a grand total, the New York City area that is, which is what we live in, a grand total of 7 TV channels. That was it. And if you lived in other parts of the country, like if I lived in Terre Haute, where I went to graduate school and did my radio, if I lived out there in the 70s instead of the 90s when I did, I only had 3 TV channels. 3. That was it. As a lot of markets in America only had. So here at least we had 7 channels, 6 plus PBS. But now there are just so many other choices. There are so many other alternatives. There's so many other things that you can do if you don't feel like watching the game. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially with young people, where they go with this. Now, some people may say we also have an influx, when you get more and more people who immigrate from other countries where football, or at least our brand, the American brand of football, is not something that you grow up with. But one thing I have noticed, especially talking with students, we get a lot of people who immigrate to this country. Hold on for a second. Hey! I have a puppy, a black lab puppy, who now is over 40 pounds. He just grabbed my phone off the counter, as you saw behind me. You probably were watching. You actually were probably watching it. And he likes to get up on the counters now when we're trying to stop him. He's only 5 months old. He's like almost 50 pounds already. I don't know. We can't control. Look at my wife. She can't control. Yes, she can't control him. No, you can't. You can't control him. You can't control. You can't control him. He's out of control. You good boy. All right. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't know. But what I wouldn't mind is if you just threw me, if you felt like it. You don't have to. This is not a requirement. But if you just threw me an email, if let's say you were a football fan, or what was the reason why you didn't watch the Super Bowl? Because all of you, unless I'm very wrong, unless there's somebody who's 58 years old who's one of our classmates, you were all in that 18 to 49 category that you saw, where the number of people is going down. So it's going to be very interesting, because this was where, especially in the last 10 years, as TV ratings have gone down significantly, as we have had all of these. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I go down the channels of what I see, whether it's on the networks, on cable TV. I don't like something I want to watch, I go to Pluto TV. Forget Netflix, forget Hulu. I'll go to Pluto. I'll watch old CSI Miami, or I'll watch an old movie that they have. Yeah, I got to have a couple commercials, but at least they're uncut. Okay? And what you can do is, let's say a movie started a half hour ago, Pluto TV lets you watch it from the beginning. So, hey! Now he's climbing up over here. Come here, you. Come here. I want everybody to see you. Come here. Look at this. 5 months old. This is 5 months old. He's a galoot. Anyway, you know what? I want to get started with the chapter, but I think I've taken enough time already with our discussion points. Listen, one more thing before I go. We're getting a little late with the quizzes. Let's get those quizzes in on time. I'm going to let it pass for the sound recording quiz. But for the next quiz, you'll have a deadline. You'll have 3.5 days to get that quiz done. Let's get it done on time. If not, you're going to have to start losing points. All right? It's not a big deal. Just let's get those quizzes in on time, please. All right, so Thursday morning, we're going to talk about radio. We'll see you then.